Hello, my friend. Today, I am cracking into a new perspective that I have been gifted from a new friend. Today, we are talking about my thoughts around things being easy and hard, specifically hard. The notion of hard comes up in coaching all the time. For example, I'm having a hard time putting myself and my work out there, or it's hard for me to perform with a camera in class, or this person is hard for me to work with, et cetera, et cetera. Those of you who have been doing this a long time, those of you who have been practicing CTFAR, know that circumstances lead to thoughts, and they're neutral. The facts of the world, plain and simple, not good, not bad, provable, agreeable by all. What we think about them is optional, and it's what determines whether we feel good or bad, or easy or hard about that circumstance. Our circumstances lead to the way we're thinking. Our thinking leads to the way we feel. Our feelings or our emotional state leads to actions and inactions. And it is those actions and inactions that give us our experience of the world, also known as the results of our life. And because each of these are dependent upon the other, this depends on this, this depends on this, this depends on this, your results are directly linked to the way you're thinking. So when you have a thought model that includes thinking something is hard, usually the result is that you have a hard time. You think the thing is hard and it stays hard for you. Here's an example. Circumstance, camera in the classroom. It's not good. It's not bad. It's pieces of glass and metal and plastic in dance class. If you think, it's hard for me to perform with a camera in here, you will probably feel something like maybe frustrated. When I feel frustrated, my body gets tense. I don't breathe deeply. I stop kind of looking directly at myself. I close my vision off. My mind spirals with negative self-talk. I don't communicate with other people. There's no room for me to look at or see anything other than my frustration. And from there, an action might be I choke, I freeze up, I forget the moves. And usually, if that is the case, another action is that I don't watch the footage. The result from thinking it's hard for me to perform with a camera in class and feeling frustrated and then getting tense, locking up, not breathing, not looking for help, not trusting, all those actions. The result of forgetting the moves and choking and not watching the footage back is that you have a hard time learning. When you think it's hard for me to perform with a camera in the classroom, by way of all these things in between, your result is you have a hard time, an actually rigid time learning. Can you see how the T affects the R? And can you see how easily this little word, hard, can really trip you up? I think you probably can. So we're going to go one level deeper here. We're going to travel to that next level with a story about dance. Okay. So for many years, even before I learned about the thought model, I had an aversion to dance that was hard just to be hard, like hard for hard's sake, hard in the name of being hard. I'm not sure exactly when that happened because in my pre-professional training days, like at my dance studio back home, I loved learning really advanced material. I loved getting stumped. I loved going for the hardest thing possible. But eventually I grew a dislike and sometimes a visceral negative reaction to work that was hard just to be hard, and to the people who created it. Like I actively disliked choreography and sometimes the choreographers who created work that was hard or difficult to approach in the name of being difficult, in the name of being challenging. I would roll my eyes at it. So after holding that attitude for so long, I would say it really shaped my personal style. And that's not a bad thing. It's normal. I think that's just what happens. As a result of not liking hard for hard's sake, I tended towards simple, slower. I prefer smoother. Sometimes I prefer sloppy or floppy. Sometimes I prefer effortless movement. as a seaweed sister principle that we often laugh at because it's kind of an internal mantra is that strength is not our strength. And this is not to say that our work is easy or doesn't require skill. It very much does. And sometimes we actively do choose the unnatural option on purpose because it's funny or more interesting. But regardless, our work is not deliberately strenuous, athletic even, or like terribly physically demanding, because I think all three of us agree that hard for hard's sake is kind of unsavory or like less fun somehow. And we all three prefer to not move that way. We like to not be under stress or strained, or yeah, we just don't like being stressed. Anyways, okay. That's my previous way up to very recently of thinking about difficulty in dance context. Enter now a new friend that has helped me kind of reopen my mind to doing hard things for hard's sake. Their work is hard. They admit that sometimes they choose the hard move or transition simply because it's hard. And yet I like the work. Sometimes I even love the work. I'm becoming a person who enjoys hard for hard's sake. Again, all over again. And that is because my thinking is changing. Previously, I thought hard for hard's sake is annoying. It leaves people out. It can't be digested or appreciated. I used to think simple is more effective. I used to think simple is better than complicated. And all of those thoughts, which may even ring true to you today, are not facts. They're thoughts. They're optional. And they have been useful for a time. It helped me develop a signature of some sort. But I think their time is coming to an end for me. Here's the thought that's taking front and center now. Doing something hard because it is hard is a valid reason to do it. That's the thought. Simple. It's a little monkey bar thought. The explanation behind that thought, the support of that thought, the Olympics, possibly the purest, biggest, and longest running example of the human desire to do hard things and excel at them that there is, right? Not for any grand cause, or like not in the name of story or character or humanity even. No greater cause. It's just to do it and to be the best at it. So fun fact about the Olympics, by the way, I looked this up. The ancient games were staged in Olympia, Greece, from 776 BC through 393 AD. Y'all, that's a long time, and it's a long time ago. But then we took a pause. We took a break from the Olympics, and maybe an ice age happened. I don't know, not a historian. But we got back into the Olympics 1,503 years later. The Olympics made their return. The first modern Olympics were in Athens, Greece, in 1896. You will be quizzed. That's 126 years of people doing hard things just because they're hard and they want to be great. I happen to love the Olympics, so I know there is room for me to love hard for hard's sake. But today, I will settle for believing that doing something because it's hard is a valid reason to do it, period. So that's my new anchor thought around hard. What is the big takeaway here? I'd say it's this. Hard is not the bad guy, and easy is not the good guy, and vice versa. So when hard or easy show up in your thought sentences in your mind, take pause and take a closer look. How is thinking that something is easy or hard affecting the way you feel, act, and experience the world? What is your position on doing hard things? What can you learn from what's on either side of those hards and easies in your sentences? In other words, in the sentence, this is too hard for me. The word too hard suggests that there is a degree of acceptable hard, or that it should be easy. We'll use the examples that I used before. I have a hard time putting myself and my work out there. Suggests this kind of subtext sentence, which is, I wish it was easier. When you think something is hard and you wish it was easy, there's struggle. When you think it's hard for me to perform with a camera in the classroom, there's an implied, so it shouldn't happen, or it's easy for other people, so there must be something wrong with me. That leads to you punishing yourself. When you think this person is hard for me to work with, that leads to it's their fault that I'm not happy, which leads to you punishing other people for the way you feel. All of these sneaky little hints that show up when you see the words easy or hard pop up in your thinking, these hints point towards why you're struggling, how you're punishing yourself, how you're punishing other people, in general, not taking ownership for the way your thinking is affecting your experience of the world. I just encourage you to investigate that and take your power back. I empower you, I implore you to investigate your thinking around what is hard and what is easy. Watch how the way you feel changes when you change the way you're thinking. Hard is not the bad guy. Several people think hard is fun. What if you could become a person who thinks that sometimes doing hard things is fun? Not because it's good, but just because it's hard. You don't need to think it's fun. You don't need to win the Olympics. But thinking that hard things for hard's sake doesn't have a place, maybe keeping you from excelling at doing things that are hard. I know it has for me. So it may be happening for you. That's what I'd like to offer you today. Hard is not the bad guy. Easy is not the good guy. I don't remember if it was Brene Brown or Glennon Doyle who coined this now famous term, we can do hard things. It's like a rally cry. We can do hard things. That sentence lands perfectly factual to me. It lands neutral with a hint of encouraging. Yes, we can actually do hard things. I hope that thought is useful to you. I hope this lesson has been useful to you so that you can decide on your position on doing hard things, period, but doing hard things just because they're hard. You can do hard things. You can decide what you think about doing hard things. And I think that opening up a little bit of ease around the notion of doing hard things for hard's sake certainly makes it more fun. It makes it easier. How's that for profound? Now, go get out in the world. Keep it funky, especially if it is hard for you to do so. That is it for me. I will talk to you soon. I just tried to touch my camera to turn it off. That is how much I've been on my phone lately. Okay, bye.